If you're a newer player to Warframe, progressing through the story content and checking off nodes in your star chart, eventually you're going to come across the Ropalolyst. Now, this can be a pretty intimidating fight because, unlike most boss encounters in Warframe, this one is very mechanic heavy. So if you don't understand what's going on, it definitely has the potential to trip you up. If that's the case, you got two options. Head in with a match-made party and rely on the group members to pull you through, or lace up those boots, head in solo, and get it done for yourself. This has always been my preferred route, and you really don't need anything overly specific to make it through this fight. It's really weighted a lot more toward execution than just rolling in with an overpowered build. One prerequisite though, you will need your operator. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you're gonna want to play some of the game's story content first. About 4 or 5 years ago when I initially stopped playing Warframe, it was sacrilege to talk about the Second Dream. I don't know if the community at large still feels that strongly about it present day, but I don't want to just overtly spoil any of these really cool narrative beats that are woven into Warframe for anyone. So if you haven't finished the Second Dream quest, check back when you do. Sorry for the short tangent, returning to the matter at hand. Like I said before, you don't need much to do this fight. My operator is terrible. I've hardly done anything with him. Basic mode amp, no upgrades, no arcanes, basically as he was when he popped out of the shell. For my frame, I'm using Gara, simply because I found having 90% damage resistance at the press of a button can be quite handy. But really, I think any frame that you're comfortable using is gonna work out just fine. For my primary weapon, I took in the Nadaruk bow. Having a longer range weapon with strong single shot damage seemed to serve me pretty well. Onward though, how does this fight work? And before we get into any specifics, one piece of advice. Listen to Alad V. He is constantly dropping heavy hints as to what mechanic needs to be done next throughout the duration of the fight. That being said, when you reach the boss, the arena is gonna look something like this. Now, it's not a perfect recreation, but I think it's good enough that you'll at least get the gist. And I do have the key elements pointed out here. The cables, the power coils, and the laser control panel, which are static pieces that you'll be interacting with throughout the fight. Now when you start out, the Ropalolyst is going to be immune to damage. The first objective, get yourself from the central hub which you spawn in at, across the cables, to one of the power coils. Keep in mind these cables are only semi-physical objects, meaning you will have to latch onto them to head across. As you head out, the Ropalolyst will teleport to the platform in front of you and start sending electrical charges down the cables, which you will have to jump over. But when you do jump, make sure you reattach yourself to the cable to avoid that embarrassing fall into the ether. Once you reach the platform, the boss will then take to the air and begin to assault you with its beam attack. Position yourself on the opposite side of the coil, let the boss shoot the coil with its beam. Now it is charged. Next step, use your operator to knock off the boss's shields. If your operator is a bit lacking, like mine is, this isn't going to be an extremely quick process. One full charge on the mode amp doesn't deal a ton of damage, and sometimes it just doesn't have the reach to hit the boss. If that's the case, you may just have to wait until it positions itself a little bit closer to the platform. But just be patient, watch your positioning, pick your angles, time your windows between attacks, and eventually you'll whittle that shield off. When this happens, you are now going to mount the Ropalolyst. Simply jump up at it and use whatever button you use to latch on. Once you do, you'll now have complete control of the boss, so get a running start and drive its face right into the giant bug zapper. Doing this will result in you and the boss being flung back to the center platform, with some pieces falling off as you land. There's going to be some ads here with you now too, and I found it's best to take them out as quickly as possible. And the boxes on this platform do provide really good cover for you to stand behind as you pick them off. Another thing to watch out for though, if you get too close to the Ropalolyst, it will grab you, and it hurts. A lot. This is where Gara's second ability's damage reduction has saved me several times. But the objective during this phase of the encounter is to destroy one of the shiny bits on the boss's back. And I'm sure there is a technical term for it, but in Ironworker speak, those are shiny bits. Once you do enough damage to one of them, it will visibly break, but there's also an accompanying audio cue that I did find quite helpful. As soon as this happens, the boss will be temporarily stunned. Beat feet over the control panel and call in the laser blast. And boom, one phase done. You're going to repeat the same exact process at the remaining 2 coils to progress the fight. Once you return to the center platform after ramming the boss into the third and final coil, you'll notice that it's now open for damage. So just kill it. It honestly doesn't have all that much health. But you are going to have to deliver one final laser blast after you empty out its health bar. And if you don't do this within a pretty limited window, its health is going to regenerate. So my best advice, be within arm's reach of that control panel when it's time to deliver the final blow. And that's it. Ropalolyst dead, escape to the evac point, mission over. Now, head back in to farm out those wisp parts if you want. But yeah, that's a wrap. I hope you found this video helpful if you needed some guidance. And if any of you seasoned Warframe veterans out there popped in for the video and you have any additional hints or tips, feel free to drop them in the comments. But with that, have a great day ladies and gentlemen, and I'll catch you on the next one.